Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast where we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, one well of the soul's curdling scream at a time. I'm Pete Bummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And joining us one more time to finish out the week, we have Brett Stillo and Josh Horowitz. And I think it's fitting that Brett is here for this minute, because I think we got a little bit of ring theory going on with the sounds. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
Is it Friday already?
It is.
Yeah. Boy, the past 3 days have just whooshed by.
Just a whirlwind, right?
You're having fun.
Yeah.
Well, today we're here to talk about minute 70, which begins with children screaming off stage and Indy seeming to come to the very slow realization that maybe the Temple of Doom is an evil place after all. And it ends with Indy looking down into a mine filled with toy trains and Chewbacca welding something. And this minute begins and we get a shot of these flapestries kind of up on the wall. You know, that we keep talking about the human skins up there on the wall. And I don't know if anyone's noticed, but they have very, very prominent pubic hair.
Oh my God, I just saw that as you said it. That's gross.
And
They really do.
Really, I don't know if that's where the PG-13 came from, but it's really, once you see it,
wow,
like you cannot not see it.
Oh. Thanks, Pete.
Last Tango and Pancut.
This was a great episode. Thanks. You can find our show on iTunes. Your show will be on iTunes. We'll see you Monday.
If you want to hear us vomiting for the next 20 minutes, please, you're welcome to stay tuned.
But they also have like these incredible manes of hair, and they look like they're holding up guitars above their heads. So they look kind of like a hair metal band.
Tommy Lee!
Wait, manes of hair?
Oh yeah, they've got like crazy curly hair metal hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a certain Chinese wild man, perhaps?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We all got our conspiracy theories about the flapestries. Jerry?
Well, you know what's crazy is, I mean, and we talked about the flapestry before, but it was really just conjecture, speculating. That's what we thought they were. But you get a clear, I mean, as Pete just pointed out, a very clear shot of the flapestries. And they're clearly and officially flayed skin.
Yeah.
Which this movie is disgusting.
Hellraiser wasn't this gross.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, I never really knew what people meant when they said, well, Temple of Doom is really dark. It's a lot darker than Raider. And I was like, I don't know, there's minecart chases and monkey brains, And then here, I'm like, there's flayed skins. And here's what's really sick. I mean, not as sick as the pubic hair, but they're seamless. The flayed skins are seamless. So, they're one piece. Flayed skins. And I'm like, it's like no Temple of Doom Burger King kids toy is going to erase that image. I mean, that's got to be one of the most disgusting things in the movie.
And Indy seems to share your opinion too right now, because it's like he's got that, like Pete sort of said it, he's got the series of looks where he's like, oh, he's just realizing that he's in a Temple of Doom. Like there's these screams and there's these skins with pubic hair and there's a big fake skull and it's a snake looking at him. And
he does Jerry's Scooby-Doo thing. Like he hears the scream and he does the, huh? Like he does that head turn.
Now I have a question about the timing of those screams. So why is it that that's happening now and it didn't happen earlier? Was it just that the children's break was over and now it's time to go back to work?
I actually have an answer. I have an answer on this one. You know how you regularly have, they have laugh tracks on TV shows? I think there's a Temple of, the Temple of Doom pipes in, a weep track. And they're just playing that. I think it's just it's sort of like the ambiance of the Temple of Doom mines.
Temple of Doom was flayed before a live studio audience.
But I think you're onto something, Jer, because you and I were in St. George, Utah one time, and you kept surmising that they piped in bird sounds because there was this sort of heavenly bird sound that you heard everywhere you went in the town. And you, like, I'm thinking you never actually see a kid screaming, I don't think. So maybe this is all completely like it's someone's got a tape playing, like it's like the old Kmart play the shopping music.
And we and if you recall, we never saw a bird in St. George, Utah either. No, I think it's really sort of ambiance for the Temple of Doom and the mine car, the mine below and the workers. Because if you're always playing this stuff where there's kids screaming, like, first of all, you don't have to do as much work. Like, to get a kid to scream, you have to do some work. You know what I mean? And those kids are popping off shrieks like every 3 or 4 seconds.
Well, there's only one thing that would have made that worse, if they would have actually piped in Muzak to go with it. The screams.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe they are. Maybe they're playing like Kenny G's greatest hits.
Maybe.
And the screams are all real.
Yeah, it's all the guards. Yeah. Well, you mentioned the music. We were joking a while ago about sad versions of songs, and we get the sad version of the of like, I don't know what this theme is called. Like
the Slave
like
Children's Crusade theme.
Is that what okay.
Yeah.
But we get the sad version here.
Yeah, we start with the sad version, yeah.
The dance mix is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the special extended flayed version.
Yeah.
By the way, I said these guys had hair metal hair. Their hair looks exactly like Kenny G's, now that you mentioned that.
Oh,
too.
God. What a Temple of Doom this is.
It's funny how something as simple as flayed skin and pubic hair just totally changes one's point of view about a scene and the direction it would take. I had many notes about that. I've just torn them up.
Was it Sergei Eisenstein who pointed that out? That if you just like put enough pubic hair in a scene, the audience will make its own meaning. Yeah.
Well, but what's interesting is it takes both the child shrieks and the seamless flapestries to persuade Indy to investigate the child slave situation.
I'm going to defend this moment of the movie. I'm like watching it over and over again as we're talking, and I actually really, really like this part the more I think about it.
Oh, I do too, actually.
I mean, he hears the screams, and I don't think the screams and the flayed skins add up to something. I think he hears the screams, and that kind of snaps him out of his gold lust, and he's like, oh, geez, there's skins up there, and people are worshiping this crazy god statue, and oh my, I'm in a weird, dark place, and something horrifying is happening that I've been preoccupied, and I really haven't been paying attention to this. And it's like a nice, weird, lingering moment that they take some time with. I mean, it's like, less than a minute, obviously, but it all slows down. And you just got these neat shots of Indy kind of realizing something sick.
Yeah, Tom, I think you're right. I think he forgot about the kids, all that gold lust, and then it took something like that to snap him out of it.
Yeah.
We all forgot about the kids. Everybody, the kids forgot about the kids.
Yeah.
But it brings up an interesting point, though. Do you think that Indy wasn't truly convinced that the kids were actually down there? I mean, was his plan originally to just go in there, get the stones, head to Delhi, and go home? And he figured, maybe they just got lost or something. And, that one kid who came back was just a...
I would believe that, except one of the most poignant lines in the movie, as we discussed, was when he's translating in the Mayapur village, and he stops and he goes, "The children? They stole their children."
Yeah.
And that's like, you're like, oh, it just got real.
Yeah, but we know that he like feels for the village that they lost all their kids, but there's never any discussion of like, oh, those kids must be at the palace, or I wonder where those kids, like he doesn't mention them again, really. And not that it means he doesn't care, but I don't think he doesn't even like drop that to like Chatter Lal when he's being a total clod detective. Like, it's like, oh, and the villagers mentioned that you stole every one of their children.
Yeah. I mean, if it really was about the children, you would have think that when he was talking to Blumbart, that he would have mentioned something. I mean, they could have brought the army in and gotten them out, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Tommy, you're forgetting Wheezy. You're forgetting
I will never
Wheezy.
forget
I mean,
Wheezy. Stop
Wheezy collapsed in Indy's arms.
Right, no, I'm
Like
saying.
she went right to Indy and collapsed.
She
You're
did.
not going to forget that.
Well, yeah, but Indy kind of forgot it pretty quickly because he immediately kind of handed her off and started looking at the parchment.
Yeah. I think he literally dropped her, didn't he? Like she landed on her head. And the mom came and scooped her up.
This movie's weird. It's weird.
This brings up something that I've been wondering about this whole movie and rewatching it. Do any of you guys know who in the brain trust is pushing to have the children in the plot? You know, I'm imagining George is saying Sankara stones and Stephen is saying children. And,
Yeah.
you know, because for me watching this movie, you know, I think one of the problems is, you know, these two guys are just not on the same page.
Yeah.
You know, there's,
Yeah.
we've made so much about the great partnership. I mean, it's kind of legendary. And, I mean, they aren't at each other's throats, but, you know, you have two guys who want to make different movies. And I think this is a clear example of he's going after the Stones. But there's also kids.
Right. Yeah. That's. I don't know if we've ever talked about it in that way before. We're always like, yeah, there's like the weird dual goal of like kids and Stones and what's the real thing and what's more important. But yeah, I wonder if it is sort of like well, the Stones weren't enough, you got to add kids, or well, the kids aren't enough, you got to have Stones. Or, you know.
Yeah. That's why I pictured, you know, a couple episodes back, Katz and Hiker you know, taking dictation. As George says one thing, and then Steven says another thing, and then George says, "No, I want this, and I want that." And
And they just want to make mommy and daddy happy.
yeah, they
don't know who
just
does.
want to make mommy and daddy happy.
It is interesting though how many films both Lucas and Spielberg made that revolved around a child protagonist.
Yeah,
That's true.
Like they
Yeah.
really had a lot of especially in the 80s. Well,
Yeah.
at least Spielberg did, and then Lucas kind of came in later. But
Yeah. Yes, he did.
yeah, he made up for lost time.
because you know, also you think about, you know, this kind of clashes. You have all the darkness in this movie that I think is largely Lucas. And I think we've talked about, you know, Spielberg was also in a dark place at that time, but at one point, you know, in the production, he says, "Yeah, we got to lighten this up. Let's make a dark, scary movie with comedy." You know, and hence you got all these scenes that he's trying to make funny, but just don't come off because
Yeah.
it's almost this half-hearted, you know. There's something about this movie that reminds me of Bad Parenting.
Yeah.
You know,
Is it the bad parenting in the movie, or is it?
no,
Maybe that's it,
it's well, you know, this comes later, like, you know, in just a few minutes. And like, by the way, the next 2 weeks of this podcast, I do not envy where you guys are going. Have fun with that.
Oh, we will.
But yeah, this movie goes to a really dark place, and that's, to me, that's almost like you're playing at a friend's house. You know, a parent does something like, a parent scares you. If you've had that experience of, you know, a grown-up really scares the hell out of you, and you're just freaked out. And then that parent comes back, that grown-up comes back 5-10 minutes later and says, "Hey, I got you a Slurpee." I'm like, "No, I don't want your damn Slurpee. Get that away from me. No, it's
He's
over."
tainted.
You know, interesting, you know, with you talking about kids, I just sort of noticed that after watching this film for the first time since I've had kids, I just felt that I was affected more by the relationship between Indy and Short Round. You know, especially, you know, in those later scenes, you know, spoilers, of course, where, you know, when evil Indy will actually hit Shorty. And then Shorty tells Indy that he loves him before searing his flesh to wake him up. You know, I mean, it struck a little chord there. It's like,
That's
yeah,
fatherhood.
Yeah.
I got kids too. That's kind of
We've all got those sear pains on our side, the scorch marks. Well, it's what I just thought this for the first time. I don't think we've said this before on the show, but you know, we're talking about like, yeah, evil, dark movies, but with a lot of humor to like lighten it up or something. Isn't that kind of Poltergeist? But like Poltergeist does it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, Raiders did it perfectly.
Yeah. But I mean, Raiders was less like, Raiders wasn't grim. There was nothing like grim and like, oh my God, about Raiders. Really.
And on the other end, on the comedy end, I feel like the humor here is gimmicky.
Yeah. No, it totally is.
It's definitely more
Yeah.
like towards the Goonies end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and we move on from sort of the flapestries and the screaming, and we get the first really great jump scare of this movie.
Yeah.
And we think that Indy's in danger, and all of our attention is focused on Indy, and all of a sudden this thuggy pops up and grabs Willie's arm, and he does this. I have a question: who does the scream? But you hear this scream that sounds almost exactly like the corpses in the Well of the Souls screaming.
Yes.
Oh,
which
yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
is where we first brought you in, Brett.
And Josh Horowitz and I talked to the guy who made the screams. Who made those screams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Howarth,
Yeah.
who was the
Oh, nice.
co-composer on Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, he did all the sound design on other films. He
That's
did a little
amazing.
bit on Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Awesome.
we had the opportunity to interview him for 5 Minutes of Trouble. And we just noticed, oh hey, it says here you did something on Raiders. What'd you do on Raiders? And he said, that Ben Burt called him and said, hey, got this Egyptian corpse thing. So that's Alan Howarth going.
That's
Like a
awesome.
sucking scream, I believe.
Yeah.
Is what he did.
Yeah, it is kind of a sucking
Jerry
scream,
does it really
right?
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that diegetic? Like, is that the guy screaming, or is that soundtrack? Because it's got a really like a lot of reverb. It's got it's a very processed sound.
Well, they are in a cavern, you know.
It sounds better than him just going up and saying, "Hey, you."
Yeah.
Well, here's I don't understand this at all. I really don't understand this scene here, because you know how we talked about perfect henchmen in Raiders? Yeah, okay. Well, so the first guard goes, you know, mixed with a but the guard who grabs Willie specifically covers her mouth to kidnap her quietly. And so I'm like, that's rookie guard poor communication.
Yeah, they weren't on the same page.
Well, the other guard does this amazing voice. Like, the other guard does this crazy, like, mix between, like, a cartoon Edward G. Robinson and the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. And you hear him in the back going, yeah. And it's hilarious. Like, it's
I
this
actually thought that
crazy-
it sounded like the Hamburglar.
You would have organized your little posse there and be like, all right, fellas, we're gonna do this surreptitiously, okay? There's gonna be no screaming. I know last time. Yeah, exactly. I know last time. I know you like screaming, okay, big guy? But listen, we're not gonna do that now.
Well, maybe they did, and the one guy got excited.
Then one guy got, well, again, that's rookie guard communication.
Well,
You don't
Jerry,
do
you know
that.
this is probably the only movie where you can legitimately call these bad guys thugs.
Yep.
Yay.
Somebody had to go there. Somebody had to say it. It was us.
Now, I'm wondering, with this amazing piece of evidence, Pete, that you called to light last minute, so do these guards show up because of the snake alarm?
That's what I think, because they show up almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, it could be that, or it could be they heard Willie scream earlier, because she screams like when the guy's heart gets ripped out.
They make a lot of noise up there.
That's
Like,
true. And then Shorty asks that.
Yeah.
He asks a question, and he's like, and he shushes him. And
Yeah.
But if is that guy, maybe he's part of the snake alarm?
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's hiding there under the little rock.
Yeah.
And the
little
snake
signal.
alarm goes off, and he has to pop out and scream.
Put down his newspaper, put his drink down, go pop up and scream.
Well, maybe that's what the screams are. It's like the klaxon, because you don't hear the screams until the snakehead turns.
Yeah. Could be. Oh, can we talk about the most amazing thing that happens right here?
Yeah.
What's that?
When Paul Sullivan was on, we talked about. Did you bring that up, Pete, or did he? I forget. That
I think
Willie,
we both brought up different parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that there was a cut scene where Willie runs out from the Temple of Doom, runs back to her palace bedroom, and Chatter Lol's there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you got to help us! There's these things, this Temple of Doom and everything." And that's when you find out that Chatter Lol is in on it and that he's evil. And it says, "Oh no, dum dum dum" moment. And right here, you see that Willie gets away when they're attacking them both. She runs off into the back, so that must be her running to that scene that we don't get to see.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And
love
Shorty's a
that.
hero. Like, Shorty sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
And like kicks that one guy, and he
Yeah.
fights off all 3 guys so that she can get away. Like he selflessly sacrifices himself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Why did they cut that?
I don't know. That makes me furious.
And it also would have like Chatter Law would have been kind of, he would have had a more prominent role. I
would have still
really
been in the
want
movie.
more Chatter Law.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't remember if it was Andrew or Sully who was talking about part of the reason they thought that got cut was because Harrison Ford had herniated his back, and he and Kate Capshaw didn't film a lot more of the movie together.
Yeah.
So is that why a lot of the stuff ended up on the cutting room floor? Was it?
But
for
he
another
wouldn't have been
reason?
in that scene. Like Harrison Ford
That's
wouldn't
true.
have been in that scene.
That's true.
So I don't know. Maybe it messed up the schedule or something, so they couldn't film that. I don't know. But it's
interesting.
weird. It's too bad.
They would have cut into mine cars and monkey brains.
Yeah. See.
Do you like the lighting on the Thuggy guard when he pops up? Notice that you don't really see his eyes, and he's got this sort of very campfire flashlight underneath his type look.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
That's a great old-timey scare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Carpenter-esque.
Very Carpenter-esque. Yeah.
And he is. He totally has the flashlight underneath his chin.
Yeah, exactly. He was an expert at scaring his sister back at home.
It's all part of the snake alarm.
Yeah.
Part of the snake alarm.
After Indy misses all of this because he's walked off screen, and the minute ends with him walking over and looking through a kind of a hole in the wall down into this mine, and you see it looks almost exactly like the shot we get on Hoth of Chewbacca welding on top of the Millennium Falcon. There's a guy down there with a welding torch, and then there's another guy that seems to be grinding one of the mine cars.
Well, Pete, I had a note here that said that this is a really good example of 1980s kids playing Minecraft.
Wow.
Wah, wah.
I was hoping maybe you guys can help me conceptualize this palace basement, because we have the mine is below the Temple of Doom Cathedral, right?
It's behind
And then
it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Behind
yeah.
him below.
well, but it looks like he's looking down.
Yeah,
right?
he's
Like,
looking down,
It's below, not
Yeah.
directly below, but it
yeah,
would
yeah,
be
yeah.
like a
It's a
few
lower level.
stories below or something.
Yeah.
And then but we know that. So does that mean that the mine is actually next to the molten lava?
That's a very good point. It's got to be.
Yeah, with a wall in between? Because you know what I'm saying? It's like there's the cathedral, and then 100 feet down is the molten lava. And then if you walk sort of behind the altar where Indy goes, he looks down, and that's the mine.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
We don't know how far back he goes, really.
Well, I mean, he can't go that far back.
Well, how much rock do you need between you and lava to not get lava'd up? I don't know.
It's going through lava tubes or something.
Well, I'll tell you this, if you're running a mine and you're drilling everywhere, you might want to be careful.
Ixnay on drilling to the south. All drilling this way.
Don't touch that wall, kids.
Well, that brings up another question. It's like, why even go for the kids? I mean, why couldn't they have just gotten slave labor from, some sort of adult population in another village? Why the kids?
Yeah.
And what the hell is so efficient with the under 10 crowd?
Yeah.
I mean, is it just that they're small and they can hit the diamonds or something? Or
I mean, it's not like if you steal the kids from the village, you're like, well, you're going to have some adults coming after you anyway. So you might as well take the adults too. And, enslave the whole village, all ages.
Yeah.
all ages are welcome at the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I absolutely, I will defend almost every part of this movie, but the children part makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, just logistically why it's just the kids and how they even took the kids in the first place. Like, how do they take every kid?
Well, what's the age cutoff? 13?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, maybe it's pubic hair.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean, maybe that's why those guys got flayed. Yeah, too old. They were too old. And also, the one if the mine is below the Temple of Doom, and you can see there's like a little rope going through that hole, right? Mm-hmm. So is that the only entrance to the mine? Like, does everybody in the mine have to, shimmy down that little rope?
So did every kid have to push the boobs, and then they had to walk through the bugs in the spike room?
One at a time.
Yep. Then whip their way across the elephant trunk.
Yeah.
And then, climb down this rope into the mine.
Yeah. And somewhere in there is a time clock they got to punch.
Morning, Sam. Morning, Ralph.
And even the adults down there, how do they get down there? They got to do the rope through the ceiling too?
Yeah, these are great questions.
It's got to be a loading entrance.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Little area for the elephant to back up on. Now, what is the deal with the arc welding? Is that something that they had back in the 1930s?
And the color's exactly the same as it is in Empire Strikes Back. Like it's an interesting choice. And I never noticed that welding before until we watched it like this. But you don't even get like a beautiful lens flare.
Right.
Is it a kid welding or is it an adult welding?
No, I think it's an adult because there's also an adult guard like grinding the side of one of the mine carts, and you see sparks flying everywhere.
I think it's just like we need sparks and we need flashes of light and we need smoke. So everybody do stuff. Do mine busyness stuff. Go.
Well, you wouldn't want the kids around hazardous tools.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They might get fined for that.
Yeah. What kind of Temple of Doom do you think this is?
Sure, it's a Temple of Doom, but we have our standards.
Yeah. We're not monsters. Come on.
We torture the kids. We work them to death, but we haven't had it on the job of the accident in 6 months. So.
Safety first.
You've got like the OSHA poster up in the break room and the
Exactly. It's a very safe Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Well, have we gotten everything out of this minute? Anybody have anything else?
Well, I think we have to at least take the one opportunity to try to compare the characters of Temple of Doom with Big Trouble in Little China. We would be remiss not to at least point something out. I actually checked out a website just recently that actually just compared both films, and they noted that Big Trouble in Little China has bizarro versions of Temple of Doom's characters. So if you think that Indy is Jack Burton, Willie is Gracie Law, and Short Round is Wang Chi. I think you were bringing that up before, Pete, how you said that. He's like sort of the true hero of the movie, sort of like how Wang Chi is. But other character similarities, I guess you could say that Mola Ram is like Lo Pan. And I guess Chatter Lal is the manager of the month Rain.
Yeah. You got the shaman who's Egg Shen.
Yeah, Egg Shen, there you go. Pat Roach is the chief thuggy guard is Thunder. and I guess the evil Maharaja would be Lightning.
Yeah.
So there.
It actually fits pretty well.
I can see.
Yeah.
It works well.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that maybe Mola Ram and Lopan knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing at a villain convention.
Yeah.
I love your work.
Part of the World Crime League.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mola Ram is totally part of the World Crime League. Excuse me, I have some fan fiction to write.
Well, and we've had a lot of Jerry's had a lot of beautiful eye alerts here, so I think that's another.
Blue up, but no green eyes. Only
That's
blue
true.
eyes.
That's true. That is true.
I'd like to think if that were Jack Burton, he would look down at all the kids, see what's going on, and then leave.
This is sick. Get me out of here.
I'm going home. You keep your kids.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in.
Oh.
From Professor Christy Porter. Maybe that guard didn't yell. Maybe he just sighs a lot. Jer, you sigh a lot.
These are turning into fortune cookies.
we overlooked the possibility that he could be asthmatic. Now I feel bad.
Yes. I think she was actually responding to the fact that yell does really sound strange.
Yeah, maybe he's just exasperated.
Yeah. Maybe it was just he was sighing.
Yeah, he's like, oh God, Carl's gonna do his little yeah again.
Rubble.
Well, we've had a lot of comparisons to Big Trouble in Little China. Brett and Josh, you guys have a Big Trouble in Little China podcast. You want to tell people about that?
Yeah.
We do. Say we do have a Big Trouble in Little China podcast called 5 Minutes of Trouble.
That's right. You can check it out at 5minutesoftrouble.com, and we're also on the Facebook. You can see our 5 Minutes of Trouble truck stop if you want to talk a little bit about the film. We're on iTunes and all the other podcasting places. So, yeah, we finished it a couple of months back. Come and check us out.
Yeah, Jerry and Tom and I have all been guests on the show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great having you guys on, and thank you so much for having us on, too. This is my first time on Indiana Jones Minute, and it's been an honor, guys. Thank you very much for that.
Totally.
Oh, our pleasure. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Always fun.
Jerry, what else is always fun?
What else is that? I would encourage everybody to call us with questions and comments about Pete listens to these, so about pubic hair at the our Indiana Jones Minute hotline, which is 724 Lost Ark. 724 Lost Ark. Leave a message. How disgusting do you think this movie is? Or how funny do you think it is? Or does it make you a little bit seasick because it's some of both? That's okay too. Is Tommy right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
How come I can
There you
never be
go.
right?
Call us. No.
You're always right, Pete.
You're always right. That's what
You're
I
the
yeah.
you're the
Everybody
voice
knows
of
that.
reason. Yeah.
It reminds me of my grandma. You'd have Mother's Day and Father's Day, and you'd be like, "What day is Children's Day?" And they'd be like, "Every day is Children's Day."
Yeah, that was you guys patting
set
me on
the
the
house
head
on fire.
condescendingly.
Yeah.
Every day is Pete Day.
Yeah.
You're always
Great.
right.
This is the best it gets. Oh my
Every
god.
day is Children's Day at the Temple of Doom.
Yes. And dear listener, if you would like to tune in for more condescending head patting, you can join us back here Monday for episode 71 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
Robble, robble, robble. Robble, robble, robble.
Jones!
Jones! Jones!